Okay, I think we have good morning. Sorry, I've just muted the mic. So good morning. Can anybody tell me where we have stopped last time? Um, it is an international. It is an international. Uh, where these internationalization or international expansion. So I think it's okay. I can't remember, but anyhow, we will continue from this, right? So we are discussing how an organization expand businesses, right? So let me start it with internationalization. That means how we are going to improve our business, doing business with overseas, right? And there are few methods available with us if you want to expand our businesses, right? The first method is we call exporting. Now, exporting means produce a product at home and shipping it to the foreign market. That is exporting. Now, say for an example, in Sri Lanka, tea. So we produce and we ship the goods to another person. From there, they will distribute it. Like suppose our Toyota company, cars coming to Sri Lanka. There are agent here or distributor like Nissan. So they will distribute the goods and services for another country. So that is exporting market, right? Sometimes we call the second method is called licensing. Licensing means it is an arrangement between two organizations. We call licensor and the licensee, right? So the licensor usually brought, now say for an example for licensing, example I can quote it a Coca-Cola, right? And Coca-Cola company, how they expand their businesses in the world, their parent company located in USA. Now, how they expand their businesses? Through licensing arrangement, right? What is the licensing mean? They appoint a one person from that particular organization, particular country, we call licensee, and they are giving the brand name power as well as the materials, that mean the powder. So here what we will do, we will mix with the water and necessary ingredient and bottle it and distribute it in Sri Lankan market, right? For that they will charge you a fee, and the fee for using their brand names as well as their powder cost. I mean the Coca-Cola powder cost. For that they will support you with some marketing, advertising jargons and things like that, right? So that is licensing. In Sri Lanka, we had how the licensing company will do the businesses. Then we discuss, I don't know whether I can't remember whether we discussed. Then we have a joint venture, another way of organization moving to another country is called joint venture. Now, joint venture is a classic example if how the Suzuki enter the Indian market, right? So there may be a joint venture. That means two organizations work together, right? Involves the establishment of firms that jointly own or two or more, or otherwise independent firms. Now, like in famous one in India, Maruti Suzuki or Suzuki Maruti or whatever. Maruti is an Indian company, motor company. Suzuki the Japanese company. How the Suzuki enter into the Indian market and expand their business through joint venture arrangement. Now another example is Fuji and Xerox. Fuji, how the Xerox photocopy machines enter into the Japan market by America. They have joint venture with Fuji. Fuji is a Japanese company. Xerox is the USA company. Now, how Xerox improve their businesses? They join with Japanese company called Fuji. So those are some of the example, right? Joint venture. Then we may have another method we call franchising. Now it's very famous in Sri Lanka also. Now franchising also another arrangement. Now again we call them as McDonald's. Now USA McDonald's, how they expand their business in the worldwide, right? The methodology they use, the strategy we call franchising. Franchising basically The franchisor is the McDonald's Corporation in USA, and the franchisee, the local guy. Now, say we have three more famous franchising arrangement in Sri Lanka. One is you well aware about. One is the McDonald's, that is the franchisor. The franchisee is the Abbas, right? Then Soft Logic for franchisee for Burger King. Then KFC, a franchisee for uh, what you call the KFC carriers, right? So these are some of the arrangement. Now, how a franchising differ from licensing? Now, franchising, not like they are not only offering the products, but also now of the adding values, but also they add some services. Now, in licensing, the licensor, the parent company, not much bothered about how they distributed your product, but as well as the franchising system, the parent company, they look at it how they offer services. And you noted that whatever the country you visit, there is a similar arrangement for eating of burgers and all, because they maintain certain standard. That means franchising product plus services. That's a hybrid arrangement. For that, they will charge you again for the goods and the services. And how McDonald company move into the other countries, how they expand their business through franchising system. And then the next method is called Turnkey Project. Now, the Turnkey Project specifically do for construction company, especially for projects companies. Like, say, we entrusted some work to build a highway project. Now, highway project, we have given, and they build the roads and all, they will charge certain years to recover their income, that road traveling rights, right, as a fee. Then once you complete it, you earn profit, you hand it over to the project back to government and they go. So that is what you call turnkey project. We have in Jaya terminal, we had gone for turnkey project because that Jaya terminal we have given to a third party and they will operate it, and they constructed the terminal, and now I think they have given back to Sri Lankan government. So turnkey mean key එක නැවත බාර දෙනවා. So this is how they are usually for, especially for construction companies. They want to expand their businesses. They use the turnkey arrangement. Another method is called, if you want to enter into the foreign country, we call wholly owned subsidiary. The wholly owned subsidiary mean basically, now, so they establish a subsidiary in that particular company. Like in Sri Lanka, Nestle. Nestle is an international brand, and Unilever, all are international brands. But how they do business in that countries, they establish their own organization, own factory or own company. That is what you call subsidiary. That means the 51% of the ownership is belong to the parent company. Only 49 in the local, right? So like examples like Unilever and the Nestle, we have a what you call subsidiary systems, right? Subsidiary system. Now, licensing, as I explained to you, there is some arrangements, but don't worry much on this. And the franchising we discussed, and joint venture. Okay. Then we are moving to another important strategy we call cooperations. Now, I think you will remember now, we discuss type of expansion strategies, right? Now, if you say spite of, I just go through the memory, I will try to brush up what we have learned through the expansion strategies. we discussed there are mainly uh, 5 type of expansion strategies we are going to discuss. So what are these 5 type of expansion strategies? We call first one is concentration. Now the concentration expansion strategies. So sometimes we call them as the integrated expansion strategies, growth strategies. So expansion, integrate, growth strategies. Then we learn 3 type of strategies under that. What are those 3? Market penetration, market development, and product development. So under concentration or intensive growth strategies, another name. The second strategy we use, we call integration strategies. So what are the things we learn and the integration strategies? We discuss about integrative growth strategies. So what are the integration strategies we use? We discuss vertically integrated strategies and horizontally integrated strategies. In fact, this year's question is that. What do you mean by a vertical integration strategy? And what do you mean by a horizontal integration strategy? Now we discuss vertical integration mean if you're going to take over the supplier or if you're going to take over the distributor. So we call them as vertical integration. Now vertical integration based on the type of thing we are going to own, we further divide it into forward integration and the backward integration. Forward integration means you're going to take over the distributor. Backward integration means you're going to take over the supplier, right? So what is horizontal integrations mean? You're going to take over your competitor. So that is how integration growth strategies has been discussed. Then we discussed the diversification growth strategies as well. Yeah, growth strategies. Where under which we discussed there are 2 types of diversification growth strategies. One is related diversification and unrelated diversification. Now, unrelated diversification, you are not have any sort of relationship with your existing businesses. It's totally unrelated. What you are doing, it is totally unrelated. So this type of unrelated uh, diversification, we call them as conglomerate diversification, right? Totally different. Like I explained to you how the Edirisinga moving to banking, right? Okay. Then we discuss about the related concentric diversification. Related mean concentric diversification. They are again further divided into 2 based on the little close. We call synergistic, and also we call horizontal diversification. Then today we discuss the 4th method we call internationalization. So under that we discuss today few methods like direct exporting, and then we discuss about subsidiary, and then we discuss about under this thing franchising. Then we discuss under internationalization strategy as Turnkey Project, and direct exporting, subsidiary, and strategic franchising and licensing. Then now we are going to discuss the 5th type of business expansion strategy. What you're going to discuss in detail today is cooperations. So this is a wide area. A lot of questions can ask from this area, right? And these cooperation strategies, usually, the first type of cooperation strategy we are going to discuss with you is called strategic alliances. Now, what do you mean by alliances? Now, alliances, you may recall a lot of political party alliances, Sri Lanka, PDM alliances like that. There are few parties get together, join one we call alliance, right? Now, here what happened, the firms unite or combine to perform a set of business operations, but functions independently and pursue individuals' goals. Now, basically, the strategic alliance is formed to capitalize in the technology or manpower of the firms. Why we are joint strategic? If now, what happens most of the time, if you can't fight with another company, what is the best strategy you are having? Rather than fighting, we join together, right? A strategic alliance. A strategic alliance, therefore, is a partnership between two or more firms to develop to achieve a particular goal. Now, in strategic alliances in Sri Lanka, you can think about the Lanka Clear, right? They have a strategic alliances with the banking sector, one common uh, mobile applications, then one common switch like that. So Lanka Pay provide all these things, right? Check clearing systems and all those are strategic alliances, right? Okay, so classic example you can say very low risk expansion arrangement whereby the two or more companies work together, right? I think example for strategic collaboration, there may be advantages and disadvantages of strategic alliances, right? Because both parties get benefited because we may have good access to the resources, specific resources, can obtain the economic of scale, risks and costs can be shared, right? Gain access to foreign markets sometimes, we can learn, right? Okay, so there are some advantages as disadvantages of having a incorporation. So second important strategy is what you call the acquisition and merge. It's a very famous corporations or cooperation strategy is called acquisitions and merging. So let me first explain. Now, merging and acquisitions mean basically is a consolidations of companies. Usually, it is a consolidations of companies. Now, these days, banks are talking about consolidations. Now, central bank as our regulator, they are encouraging some consolidation. Now, what do you mean by a consolidation? Consolidations mean another type of acquisition or merging, but we call as a separate name, two or three, four firms together, two or more firms together, and form a one company. It's called usually the acquisition, right? Now, there are some things called acquisition. The moment you take over another company, right? Usually, the acquired company go under the acquiring company's name, right? Now, sometimes, most of the time, purchase of one company by another company is simply we call acquisition. So, take, right? Acquirer taking control of another company. How can they do? They buy the main through share purchase, right? So then sometimes this acquisition is achieved by purchasing a majority of shares in the target company. Right? That is how acquisition means. So improving their businesses. Now there are two types of acquisition. Now, say for an example, National Savings Bank has taken over Sri Lanka Savings Bank, but they are not really acquired because they work under separate subsidiary because they work together, right? But they are not changed the name. But as far as the Regional Development Bank acquired the Lanka Putra Development Bank, So therefore, Lanka Development Bank being is not there. So they are acquired. That means hereafter there won't be no more Lanka Putra Development Bank. That is why Sri Lanka we having specialized license companies, license banks. Early we had 7, and now we have 6. Right? Okay, you have to understand that. Then there are two ways. There are two types of acquisition. That is what you call the mm, by the by a friendly acquisition and hostile acquisition. Now, what do you mean by a friendly acquisitions and hostile acquisition? Right? Now, I will tell you a classic example. If you are going to get married, have a love affair and all, you are going to have a friendly acquisition. Now, hostile acquisition means where that you don't like to marry, but with the parents compel you to marry that boy or girl or whoever. So that is hostile acquisition, right? Okay, I'll just give you an example, right? Don't get confused. The friendly acquisition means the targeted company willing to take over by a acquiring company. But sometimes they don't like, they against that. We will discuss later on what are the strategies used by targeted company when you're going for a hostile acquisition, right? But remember that there are two types of acquisition, right? Okay. The next method we call acquisition and merging. Now, merging. Now, if I tell you some example for acquisition in Sri Lanka, recently, not apart from the banking sector, um, we have the Sunrise PLC, right? Sunrise PLC. Sunrise PLC is a private company or PLC. The owners of they run the business of watermelon plantation, watermelon tea, and watermelon fee and the health guard network, pharmaceuticals and all. So those are belong to um, Sunrise PLC. Now, last year, 3-4 months back, they have taken the famous toffee manufacturing company we call Dainty. I think you heard about the Dainty. So Sunrise as the second largest domestic tea package company. That is how you call the Sunrise. And they have taken the Dainty 40% of their share, around for 1.7 billion to my understand. So that is to strengthen the Sunrise businesses because they are in the same field, right? So that is acquisition. I just give you an example for that, right? The recent Sri Lankan case, there are a lot of acquisitions are taking place in other countries, right? Okay. So then what do you mean by a merging? The merging is different in character to an acquisition. So how we differ from the acquisition? Acquisition means one organization is taken over by another organization. We call acquisition. But the organization, usually two equal size organization which are having a similar size with similar expectation, joined together, we call them as merging, right? Merging, right? That's the difference. Now, most of the time the examiner will ask whether the merging and acquisition both are same. You agree or not? Right? A lot of questions asked at the exam. Merging and acquisition both are same. Are you agree? Then you have to say no. Right? Then you have to define what is acquisition and then what is merging. Now, say for an example, I've quoted again this marriage case. When Chandrika Kumaratunga married to Chandrika and Bandaranayaka married to Vijay Kumar Tunga, he said Chandrika Bandaranayaka Kumar. Right? It's a merging. Equal size, no. They have the name. This will also have name. Now, sometimes when you married, suppose you are a girl, you married to a boy, whatever, usually some sort of an acquisition. It may be friendly or maybe hostile. Now, what happened after you married? So you are also using husband's name, and your parents, sorry, if your children also put your husband surname. No, that's a tradition. But sometimes some people don't want to do that. They say, no, no, we must have a both. We are equally important, equally good. You put Chandrika, Bandaranayaka, Kumar. So their sons' names also like that, right? So that is merging. If you say two organizations joined together, equal size organizations. So therefore, acquisition and merging are not the same. So how you justify? You have to define what is merging and what is acquisition. Right? Why organization are basically go for merging and acquisition as an expansion strategy. What are the motives? What are the reasons behind for organization to go for merging and acquisition? Now I told you the merging and acquisition is a one type of operations strategy which we are expected to improve your businesses. Right now, another example, I want to tell you how HSBC went into the UK market, right? They have a Midland bank. There are some Midland banks. UK has a Midland banks which spread in the UK everywhere. So how HSBC went into UK market, acquired some Midland bank. They purchased the Midland bank of that in England. So that is how HSBC entered into the US market, right? By acquisition of Midland banks. Right. Then motives. What are the motives of merging and acquisition? There we can understand, we can classify, or we can explain. There are three types of motives. Motives mean abhimatya, abhimukya, no abhiparat, something in Indian. Motives. So first one is maybe strategic motive. That means upaya margas, right? Strategic motives. Second method is we call financial motives. And third one is managerial motives. Now let me explain all these three types of merging and acquisition. Let me explain now all these three types of merging and acquisition. Okay, right. Let me explain the first. What is strategic motive? Right. Some people get married for different reasons. Now, I'll always quote that case. Then you will easily remember. Right. What is financial motives? What is strategic? Right. Now, one first factor is under strategic motive. Can say merger and acquisition can be used to extend the reach of the firms in terms of geography, products, or market. If you want to improve your businesses, so say your bank want to improve your business, you can open branches, right, in other countries, or you can take over uh, another banks, right? Okay, now say for an example, uh, suppose the Sri Lanka Development Bank had some branches. So those branches can be used by RDA. That's the reason. That's the extension. So the merging and acquisition can be used to extend the reach of firms in terms of geography or in terms of their production. Right? First motive is extension, to expand their business. Now, say for an example, if I ask you something little different, right? So why people are willing to go for India and China to do their businesses? Because it's a huge market. India is a huge market. China is a huge market, around 1,200 billions, right? Huge market. That is why everybody want to go to the Indian market, right? It's a strategically you can increase your businesses. Then for consolidations, second one, right? Consolidate the competition in an industry. So that means suppose if we go for a guy is having higher market power by reducing, so you can reduce the competition, right? And also you can improve your efficiency through the consolidations, right? Is a strategic motive. So you can eliminate your competition and you can make use of, because that's a company who is spread uh, that brand, they take it to, right? Companies can have a benefit if it's such an increasing market power by reducing competition. But remember, in some countries, but Sri Lanka also not much have a merging and acquisition powerful legal framework. They may work it out, but other countries there may be a uh, highly legal barrier. So they are not allowing to create a monopoly in the situation in the market. If they are going to take another competitor or another player, right? So they may think whether give permission to merge. Why? Because it's eliminate the competition. So you know the competition is always good for an organization. It's good for customers, right? And it's improve innovations, right? Customers get to know more on the product. Always customer can buy. But if we have a monopoly situation, whatever, so customers are losing all these powers. So therefore, some countries they have some legal issues when you're going for a consultation. Right. Next one is the capabilities. Now you see, certain organization must have certain qualities, right? Some people may have some other qualities. I think you have another famous case here. I think you may heard about this story also when Shakespeare told Cleopatra was the beautiful lady during that time, and Shakespeare requesting the Cleopatra asking Shakespeare to marry her, right? Then she said, "My beauty and your knowledge, we can have a nice baby." Then the famous story. Then Shakespeare said, "If you think it will happen the other way around, right? Mage kata munai, obe mati mole ekadunut komiti." Something like that, right? So okay, this is a joke, right? Now the capabilities is through the merging and acquisition uh, may also lead to increase the company's capabilities. So this is one reason why people are going for strategic motives, right? Next one we call is a financial motive. Why people are merge and acquisition taking place for financial motives to get the financial efficiency. Now sometimes you feel it that if you have a strong balance sheet, so some organization may have the weak balance sheet. So your weak balance sheet can be covered with strong balance sheet. So for that purpose, people may go for merging and acquisition, right? In order to obtain the financial efficiency, right? I do. Sometimes people also do know why people are get married to another people. They are not look at it anything. They look at only their money, financial position. You know, weak balance, so you want to make it stronger. You marry to a person who having higher balance sheet. Then maybe for tax efficiency, there can be a tax advantages from bringing together different companies, right? Profits or tax losses may be transferable within the organization in order to benefit from different tax regimes. Sometimes the government also provide some tax benefits. Suppose the two finance companies join together. Now we central bank strongly recommended not to banks for finance companies to uh, find out another bank, because we noted that around out of 30 odds 39 finance companies in Sri Lanka, only 10-15 finance companies are strong in terms of their capital adequacy, liquidity, and all. So therefore, central bank was requesting the finance companies to join, consolidate that into, maybe for financial motive reasons. But then the problem is, what central bank is telling, you may join with strong bank, not to join with a yet another weak financial institution. So you must join with a strong organization. Now the present issue is, two weak organizations try to join together. So that may be not fulfill the purposes. There may be, but then not 100%. That is why central bank requesting, if you are going to merge or consolidate, please join up with the powerful person. Then asset stripping or unbundling, that means some companies, are effective at spotting other companies. There are some good underlying assets who are worth more than the price of that company as a whole. So the assets are good, right? So that is what they may go in, right? Okay. So these are some of the financial motives. The third reason or third motive, basically going for managerial motives. Now, uses, if you why some people want to go join with another Western company like Unilever, because their management style is different. So they want to change their managing style, right? And because of some personal ambitions of senior managers to short-term growth strategies and share price targets, regardless of the real value created for personal ambitions. So these are some of the reasons why people are going for, right? One time the examiner asks you, what are the motives? So if the examiner asks you, what are the bandwagon effect mean, that means, so you have a strong brand name. For that purpose also, people are going for that. Okay, so then what I keep on telling you, what are these are the motives. Now the examiner asks you, what are the motives for merging and acquisition? So you need to answer like this. What are the three motives? It may be a strategic motive, and what you need to do, tell what do you mean by a strategic motive, and give some one example. What do you mean by a strategic motive? Then you explain what is financial motive, and then give one example for financial motive. Then you explain what is managerial motive, and then give at least one example. Then your answer is covered, right? So we discuss now what we discussed, motive for merging and acquisition, right? So then these merging and acquisitions, usually if you join together, symptoms we call, a scientific word we call, a concept we call a synergistic impact or synergistic effect. Now, it's a classic example in learning by, in a Buddhist story we call Vadujatake, right? Synergies mean one plus simple understanding of synergies is this. 1 plus 1 is equal, normally in arithmetic, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But in synergistic impact means, synergies mean, so 1 plus 1 equal to more than 2. So that means synergy is the concept that the value and performance of two companies combined will be greater than the sum of their separate individual parts, right? So A is getting something called 10, some performances value for value it. So B also getting 12, so they altogether 22 now. But it should be, if your synergy is greater than, they are working alone is more than that. So this term is mostly used in context of merging and acquisition. So synergy or the potential financial benefits achieved through combining is an often a driving force behind the merging and acquisition. So ultimate motive, the crucial element of merging and acquisition, when you combine with all these motives together, what is the final output? Called synergy, to get a synergistic benefits. So this is the basically the driving force behind the merging and acquisition, right? Okay, so this is how these synergies may arise. So that is we need to consider. So synergies may reduce the cost and maybe improve the operational efficiency, right? Like that, more productive like this. So therefore, the synergies basically go for cost sharing, cost savings, right? So we can experience information sharing, supply chain efficiency, improve our sales and marketing, improve our research and development. So the synergies will benefit so many things. So the revenue um, upside synergies mean these are cost saving synergies. Sometimes we call revenue synergies mean you may have some patent and completeness, you know, complementary products, right? So those are what you call revenue upside synergies, right? Okay, then we look at it. What are the determinants of merging and acquisition? So determinant of merging and acquisition. What do you mean by a merging? Determinants of merging and acquisition mean තීරණය කරන සාධක එකක්. Why do for merging and acquisition, as I explained to you, to obtain a synergy benefit, right? Then another important thing is enhance the market share, and you need to remember this, right? You need to remember this. Most of the time, so many questions asking. Sometimes now this year's exam, I mean last year 2020 may combine exam is not having any question on this. Every time they may ask for the last, except for this year, March and April, March and November. Before that, we in 17, 18, 19, they tested about the merging and acquisition, right? So the famous question the examiner asks from you, what are the determinants? What are the factors? Why we go? Now, one exam they will ask 3 motives. Specifically, they ask a motive. But if you really look at it, determinants also the motives, right? But more explanations point of view, right? To obtain synergies benefit. Second, enhance the market share. Through the determining market merging and acquisition, you can go for new market. Then you can go for improve your efficiency and benefit over corporate tax, combining effects of skill capabilities, that is managerial motives. Benefit of corporate tax is the financial motive. Efficiency also sometimes we call for strategic motive. Enter into the new market also strategic. Enhance the market share strategic motive, like that, right? You can further revise. Then maximum utilizations of capacity, right? To make use of your asset base and to enhance the investment opportunities, right? And also you can say create barriers to entry, because you go with another organization. Another example you can say, these are some of the advantages, right? Marketing access, then geographical expansion, economic of scale, risk loss sharing. So there are some advantages as well, right? Okay, so you need to remember this, right? Then let's look at it. What are the, suppose merging and acquisition is a good thing. These are the determinants of merging and acquisition. What are the factors you need to take into account about the merging and acquisition? Right? You need to look at it that aspect also. What are the factors? What are the factors? Determinations of target and objective clear. Now, when you go for merging and acquisition, first thing you need to consider why, what is the objective? Why I'm going for merging and acquisition? What is the real objective? To gain financial gain, to gain some managerial gains. So you need to understand the objective. That's important. Then, so you need to go for formal discussions and the frequent communication with the relevant parties. And also, sometimes you need to go for in-depth analysis, right? In-depth analysis, right? In-depth analysis, that means data uh, analysis, right? Data uh, analysis, you need to find it out. Right. Okay. Data analysis. That also may be financial information, and also in-depth analysis of qualitative aspect like culture. What is the two organization cultural differences? So then you need to, what is the transaction's value? That's important thing. Why? Because this is how much I'm going to pay to take over this company. Right? Then, okay, how am I going to fund this? What is the sources of fund? How am I going to financing this takeover? Merging and acquisitions, remember, I think you may learn under the corporate governance, merging and acquisition is the one of the critical decisions need to be taken by the board of directors. It has to be at the strategic level. Why it is go to the board level? Because it need cost. It's a costly exercise. For that, you need to get the shareholders concerned, and for that, the board have to give their approval, right? Because it's high transactions value, as well as then the board find it out how we're going to fund this thing, which money from where you're going to get it, right? So our next topic, what we're going to discuss, how you find financing for that. The tube which I sent you last, maybe yesterday, or yeah, maybe yesterday morning. Okay, then we look at the what they have when you're going to have the transaction, right? And also you need to continuously monitor it, because you're going to take another organization. It may have some problems, right? These are the factors we're going to look at. Sometimes we call them as, we call due diligence analysis. So I will explain to you a little later on, right, on that. Okay, so once you take, also you need to do some analysis, evaluate. Right? So these are some of the elements that are essential for a successful merging and acquisition. Now we do everything. We discuss why we are going to take over another organization. We look at the motives. We look at the determinants of taking over by another organization. Then we look at it, what are the essential elements that what we need to concentrating on. But still, there may be some failures about this merging and acquisitions, right? Even though despite the fact that we are really analyzing determinants and take care about the elements, but still merging and acquisition fail. So what are the reasons? What are the common reasons? That is why we need to see whether it's a cultural fit. Now at the famous example when you're getting married, right? Sometimes you may father or mother is telling, අපේ පවුලට ගැලපෙන්නේ කෙනෙක් ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා නැත්තම් get on with the bag. So that is basically cultural fit. Because organizations have in a different culture, right? So when two organizations join together which are having some contrasting difference, what do you mean by a culture? Culture means the manner in which the group of people in your organization behave, your customs, beliefs, values, attitudes, and all. That is what you call culture. So your organization's culture are different, energetic, something. So then when two organizations are joined, so very difficult for one organization to be adapted to another. So as a result, merging and acquisition may be not successful. This is one of the main failures. Second, we may lack of fitting the management style. Now, in the government sector organization, we call sir, right, boss. We have a very much bureaucratic structure. We have a decision-making process, right? Distance management. But there are some private organizations, it's totally other way. They call their boss with their first name. Very, very close. They get involved in decision making. So two types, two styles. So two organizations can not fit not only the cultural but also the style of management. There are two factors. Third one is too much complication in setting goals, missions, and visions. So the one organization set more challenging goals, achievable goals, and their missions and visions are totally different. But some organization, they set their achievable goals, missions are not clear, vision is not clear, conflicts. So one of the reasons for organization. So sometimes they don't understand what you mean by a vision and mission. Then inability to meet obligations. So right, we are spending a lot of money. So everybody is expecting to perform a particular job. So then some people inability to meet obligations due to various reasons, maybe due to the resistance, or maybe due to the competency, right, or various reasons. So that's another. Why then they not in the position to perform their job? A lack of enthusiastic. I mean, won't feel it, right? Then lack of immediate finance sometimes. So you may go for merging, but you spend money for merging. But from that point onwards to run the organization, you may not have enough capital, enough working capitals and things. But because the money you spend for purchase this organization, then we sometimes organization not plan. Okay, hereafter how we are going to do, because you need to pay that organization a salary and all the benefits sometimes. So that's the issue. Then sometimes maybe you feel it that you purchase, right? I have paid little higher value to purchase this organization, right? Underprice. Example, I will famous my question. Automated sally something like, right? So over and underpricing create frustration. So you think I spend more money to take over this company. I should have to give more less than that, right? So these are some of the common reasons for merging and acquisition. Clear? I hope you understood that part, right? Now, these are some of the common reasons. What we have discussed, what is merging and acquisition, and then what are the type of merging and acquisition, and this discuss what are the advantages, what are the motives, and then we discuss what are the determinants and what factors you need to take into account very carefully. What are the essential factors need to pay more attention. Then we discuss about common reason for merging and acquisitions to fail. Right. Then we may going to discuss. Now I told you there are two types of. Still no question asked on this, but better to know at least something on this also, right? I think this we go for investment banking. I think you're going to learn all these things, but since all are not doing investment banking, so we must also have some understanding if question asked. Now, I told you there are two types of acquisition or two types of takeovers. One is friendly, other one is hostile. දැන් අර මං කිව්වා බලෙන් විවාහ කර දෙන්න යනවා. ඒක හිතන්න එහෙම වගේ අවස්ථාවකදී බලෙන් විවාහ කර දෙන්නම ගියාම ඒකට විරෝධය පාන්නේ කොහොමද? What actions, what strategies used by you know, against that marriage? Right? Something similar to that. Right? Now, what do you mean by hostile takeover? Mean without the concern of the targeted company's management, one organization is going to acquire that organization is called hostile takeover. That means one organization management and the staff, whoever, they are not willing by taken over by Mr. X. So they are that, but still they take over. It's called hostile takeover. So what are the strategies that particular organization can take avoiding hostile takeover? I'm going to then we have a බලෙන් බැරි කරන්න කියලා කියනවනම් ඔයාට ඒ වගේ බැරි කරන්න නැති වෙන්න ඔයාට ගන්න පුළුවන් strategies මොනවද? Right? One of these are strategies, right? You just put 1, 2, 3, 4. That's enough. I'm not going to explain all these strategies, but there are some strategies. First strategy we call the poison pill defense. We call poison pill defense. විෂ අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ මේකට මේ විෂ ගුලි ආරක්ෂාවද මොකක්ද? Poison pill defense. Pill එක. Right? What do you mean by a poison pill defense? It is a form of defense. It's a form of defense attached, utilized by a target company to prevent or discourage attempt to hostile takeover by an acquirer. දැන් ඒතර මොකද කරන්නේ? Poison pill. දැන් මතකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ එක එක චිත්‍රපටි we have maybe seen lot of films and all. What you behave like a PC wage, right? So make it very and not attractive you to the third party. චිත්‍රපටි වලේම නාට්‍ය වල යන්නේ නේද? ළමයි ඇස් දෙක වපර වේගෙන එනවා. හොඳ ළමයි ඇස් වපර කරනවා. බයිනෝ සැර වෙනවා. So ඊට සර ගන්නේ එක්කිනා බදින්නේ එක්කිනා බදින්නේ තු යනවා. That is called poison pill defense. That means take some actions which are avoiding hostile take. Right? Sometimes we call White knight defense. I will come to staggered board later on. White knight defense. What do you mean by a white knight defense? Right? So, white knight defense means, then I will take the example of marriage. Then you will understand. අම්මට කියනවා මෙයාව නම් මදින්නේ නැහැ මම වෙන ඕන කෙනෙක්ව මදින්න. So that is called white knight defense. මෙයත් එක්ක I don't like this company take on over. But we don't mind any other people other than this company take over. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාව මදින්න බෑ හැබැයි මම අම්මලා කියන වෙන ඕනෑම කෙනෙක් මදින්න. That is white knight defense. Right? So that is white knight defense. Okay, so simple way I am trying to explain to you, right? Those are some of the simple things you can write. White knight defense. Then the next one we call the staggered board means so you know the board of directors. I think you may learn under defense under corporate governance. The board of directors may appoint. Their maximum time is 9 years, right? Three years concessions, right? So some people finish their quota. So then, if you have a staggered board, that means it's very difficult for obtain the board approval to sell this company. That's another method, right? And the super majority voting right means convincing major people make it difficult process. නැත්නම් අපි දැන් බදිනොඩි කියනකොට අර තමන්ගේ මාමා කෙනෙක් දැන් ගෙදර අය ඔක්කොම කන්වින්ස් කරන්න පුළුවන් පාටියක්. තවඩ ඉන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර අම්මා තාත්තා මාමා කිව්වොත් කරන්නේ. මොකද වගේන මාමව කන්වින්ස් කරනවා මේක කරන්න එපා කියලා. මාමා කියලා වචන දාපුවම අඩුයි. So ඒ වගේ these are some of the techniques, right? So just put down these techniques. I just 2-3 I will told for you to prevent this hostile takeover, right? Okay, then so now we discuss merging and acquisition, but there are some other alternative strategies also you can use, right? Let me explain now some of these alternative strategies banks use for business expansion. So one is setting up subsidiaries. I will explain to you under internationalization, but you can use it for setting up a subsidiary, also business expansion strategy. So what do you mean by a subsidiary? As I explained to you earlier, so a company with voting shares that is more than 50% controlled by another company, usually referred to as a parent company or holding company. Now that is how our Western terminal may going to have it. They said we go to some Indian company, but our shares may be 51, their share may be 49. So that is a subsidy. So what are the benefits as explained in the note? Diverse specialized or subsidiary businesses activities through certain specific subsidiaries, specialization in different business line. Now that is what they are telling you. They are having enough knowledge, right? Things like that. And also remember the subsidiary, and it's a very costly thing because you're going to have a separate organization here. So therefore, structure-wise, so it's a little costly doing businesses. Okay, the next one is a very famous one sometime. Another strategy you use for what you call outsourcing. Now, outsourcing, has become today the latest mantra for companies to stay ahead of competitors in the highly competitive business environment. So bankers are high users of outsourcing. Now, outsourcing, in fact, has become an accepted business strategy today. So, what do you mean by outsourcing? Strategic use. Remember, outsourcing is a strategic decision. It's not confined to a HR job. Now, sometimes I can remember one paper, uh, one exam paper. They asked, outsourcing is a HR function. No, it is not an HR function, right? It is a business strategy. Right? The strategic use of outside specialized and efficient services providers or parties to perform jobs or activities which traditionally handled by internal staff and resources. Now, a good example in banks, now, a lot of banks are having now fully janitorial works fully given to non-bankers. Even for securities, given to non-bank, outsourced. Then even for certain external branch audit, you can outsource. Then sometimes when you're sending the what you call the the distributions of your um, F, F, FT renewal notices, feeding of cash to your ATM machines, right? Maybe some outsources of IT activities. So banks are heavily use this outsources, right? Because it's have a lot of benefits. What are the benefits? They share is with the partner company, right? Insufficient resources are not available in the organization, right? Time consuming to manage your out of control. So you can get a world-class capabilities, the expertise of doing things like that. Your organization can focus for more strategic business activities than involving in cleaning of your washroom, toilets, and all, and watching your transports as well as the securities, right? So there are a lot of benefits, but also remember there are some disadvantages, like the reputation risk, compliance risk, operational risk. There are strategic risks. There are a lot of risks also by outsourcing, right? And also there is some social aspect. Now, what is the social? Then about the social unrest among the employees, they think they are going to lose their job by implementing outsourcing as a strategy, right? But according to the central bank directions, 2 of 2012, right? Remember, so the central bank give directions for our banks. You cannot outsource everything. They are permitted to outsource only certain activities, not all the activities in the bank. So what are the activity you cannot outsource as a bank? I told you audit, branch audit, yes, you can outsource. Not audit function in the organization. You cannot outsource. And also remember another important thing, what we are learning, strategic planning. Now the strategic planning cannot be outsourced. Remember that. It has to be prepared by your organization. But you can get the support from the third party. You can get the support from the third party, but it has to be prepared by the management. Which need to be prepared by the management. You cannot outsource the what you call the uh, operational aspects of preparation of strategy, as well as you cannot outsource the compliant functions of the organization. It has to be done internally. You cannot outsource the risk management, right? And you cannot outsource this CDD, KYC, and all things. The treasury function, the forex functions, those things you cannot outsource. Now you need to understand, according to the Banking Act directions of 2012, they categorically mention what are the things you can outsource, what are the things you cannot outsource. Right? But outsourcing is a good strategy, right? Can use for business expansion, but you need to mindful of the prevailing regulator direction on sale. Okay, next one, right? You understand next strategy, and also opening of branches. So also we discussed this under market development, right? Example, market development, right? It's a business expansion strategy. Opening branches, right? I explained categorically for you with the Bank of Ceylon or People's Bank against other bank. Say Bank of Ceylon is having around say for an example, over 500 outlets or units, branches. At least 1 billion, they can earn 500 billion at least. Where the bank is having 200 branches, they are in 200 billion. Automatically, the asset is high. I'm just give an example, right? And they will expand their businesses. They can cater into the diverse group of customers, right? And improve the business volume, right? So many things. This is some of the advantage, and also there may be a costing. Opening of branch, you need to get an approval from central bank. Now, first, you has to bank need to have some programs. So tentative program you need to send for central bank. So these are now, say for an example, in 2021, for example, we say 2021, you have planned to open 10 branches, right? But you need to give central bank a plan, right? So this year we are going to open 10 branches, right? Okay, it's better to give some places, but 10 as your strategic plan, right? Then what you call, then after that, remember, so if you find that particular place, so then you need to carry out some feasibility reports. You may look at it, the area where you are going to open branch. They may look at it, the competition you are presenting. Then what is your closest branch with your branch? What is the closest branch? What is the density of that? Then you may look at it, how many business opportunities, how many government organization, how many schools there, how many government factories there, how many like you look at it. Thereby you work it out, the feasibility studies. So how quickly you can convert this branch into the profitable branch. So you do your feasibility studies, and then with some location and identify the place, and then you send it to board approval. Remember, you need to get a board approval. You may have internal approvals as well, then they go for board approval. right? And once the board approval, with the board approval letter, resolution, so you need to send again to the central bank for monetary board approval, right? So the monetary board approved, only then you can open branch. There's a procedure to be followed, right? You can't just open branch like any other organization. Now, say, any other organization, even for, say, McDonald's, or even for uh, what you call Odell, or what you call King's outlets, or maybe Cargill's outlets. So you don't want to have a lot of approval, right? Only some simple approval you need to get to open a outlet. But banks, it's not like that, right? If you want to expand, there may be a lot of procedure and an approval process need to be, right? That's you need to understand. Okay, then you can appoint agents. Now that's the important thing. Now you appoint agents. Now today the banks appoint a lot of agents to expand their businesses, right? And then under customer charter, they explain to you the role of agent, what are the things banks need to follow, what is the legal requirements need to follow when you appoint an agent. There are a lot of users harassing customers, using abuse word by agents, and the bank has to take the full responsibility of agents' activities. They give a limited functions like that. So business can be expanded through appointing agents. Banks are doing, but there are some benefits as well as negative. I just give you some points to be considered, right? Appointing agents. And also appointing agents, remember, you improve your business inclusion, improve your density, right? But you can use for business expansion, but there are some, we need to look at the benefits and the cost of appointing agents, right? Okay, and appointing agents also you can consider under, but arrangement, it is a market development activity, right? Appointing agent. Or sometimes we can come up with some forming in a group. Now, in Sri Lanka, very famous, appointing a group of company, like, or maybe a subsidiary, another name, we call a group of company. Right now, say, now you noted that there are a lot of firms. HNB have the Grameen Finance. Sampath has the Siapatha Finance. Commercial also having idle earlier. Now they go for commercial finance, right? So they have a subsidiaries as a group of companies. Another way you can improve your businesses, right? And then you may look at it, the cost and benefits, simple, right? And then you look at for blue ocean approach. So this was developed by Kim and Morgan in 2005. How company may achieve a quantum leap in value through value innovations. And what is blue ocean mean is creating a uncontested marketplace rather than fighting. So you may go for some other alternatives. Now this is how Apple enter into the market. How Apple organizations enter into the market. They use a business expansion. They come up with a blue ocean strategy, right? And it's creating an untapped demand for blue ocean strategy. So there may be a lot of strategies available at the corporate level and the business level. And despite the fact of what are the reason of this merging, as I explained to you earlier, determinants are this. Okay, now this important things. Now, due diligence in merging and acquisition. So usually, remember, before you go for merging and acquisition, right? We said we need to carry out due diligence. Like, suppose now if you're going to open branch, what do you need to carry out? You need to do a feasibility study. Likewise, so merging and acquisition, we need to go for due diligence study. So usually this central bank will ask, where is your due diligence study, right? So if you go for due diligence, a lot of issues can overcome. So what are the areas you need to look at it before you go in for merging and acquisition? And this is a more detailed version, right? Due diligence, we call due diligence. So usually we look at the financial matters. So we look at it, the last 3 historical financial statements and the related financial matrix, right, of their organization. We look at it, the financial matters. Last 3 years, before you take over, we look at it, financial matters. Right, then we look at it, technological or intellectual property, right? What is the technological capacity or technological know-how you are having? Maybe sometimes you may have some patents, right? How good your technology and intellectual property. There are others are not there. Then we look at it, your customers and sales. Are you concentrate only a limited number of customers, or may you are concentrating on a vast segment of the customers? Why that is important? Because if you concentrate on small number of customers, if these customers are lost, so you have no customer. That is why banks are going for a larger customer base. Some people say we have 100, say 10 million customers, and we have a 10 million terms of deposit customers and 3 millions of loan customers, and like that. So banks are having different type of customers. So we need to look at it. If you are going to merge or acquire, so what is your customer base? So that's then how you can strategic fit with the buyer, right? You need to look at it. Same thing. How your organization strategically fitting to that organization. And also maybe look at it, some of the contracts you enter into another third party's company. The moment you're going to take, certain contracts cannot be terminated. So therefore we need to look at it. What are the contracts the companies taken enter into with the third parties? Because we may need to continue with these sometimes based on the contract. Then we look at it, how good your employee-employer relationship. If you have an all problem with employee-employee, so financial unrest or not having the industrial fees in the organization, conflicts, are you going to take up that? Then you go to litigations, right? And what are the litigation issues faced by your intended organization, intended acquiring organization? So once you take over, you have to carry all these legal requirements. So therefore, unnecessary headache. So therefore, you look at it, any litigation issues. Any tax matters, you have to pay any taxes to the government where you have not paid. Once you take over, you need to continue to pay. So insurance, right? What are the type of insurance policies taken by your organization? Some corporate matters, the know-how and all. And then we look at it, the environmental issues as well, right? And then related party transaction. So to what extent your organization, you're intended to purchase, enter into related party transaction. So I don't want to explain all these what is related party transaction. Then to what extent you are compliant with the prevailing rules and regulations, right? The property, whether it is on, how many banks, branches you having, those branches are belong to you all. And then what is your marketing strongness? What is your marketing arrangement? So you have a nice marketing strategies, things like that. And what is your competitive landscape? How many competitors you are facing? Right? Some disclosure schedules. Now these are what you call the component you need to take into account. We still no question asked from this, right? And ඇත්තම මේ මොකද්ද අර මගේ famous example, when you discuss with that famous example, when you're going to get married, what do? You also do some due diligence. කොහොමද මේ family එක, අම්මා මොකද කරන්නේ, තාත්තා මොකද කරන්නේ, දුව බැඳලා කලින් divorce වෙන්න කෙනෙක්ද, නැත්නම් කීයක් love affairs තිබුණාද, කොහොමද මල්ලිගේ family background කොහොමද, නඩු වලට එහෙම පැටලිලා තියනවද, කොහොමද reputation එක පලාතේ පිළිගන්නවද. So what, before you get married, you also find it out. Likewise, here also, what we are trying to do, we're trying to find it out before you get married, right? So these are some of the points, the due diligence in marriage. Examiner can ask, then you put, I have given you 10-15 points, but you select the best one. And right. I think I have done this this Michael Porter strategies. I think I have done, right? Michael Porter strategies, the cost leadership strategy, and the BCG strategy, and all things I think I have covered. So these are the business expansion strategy which I discussed with you in the this is a very important area. A lot of question is asked for this area, right? Then, so I have given you one question area. Most probably, I think I can't remember. I have 6 weeks, right? So today may be the 4th week. So then we have 2 weeks more. So we have the two weeks more. Right. Now what we have learned up to now. Right? So what we have learned up to now. Right? This is entire strategic planning process. If I just summarize what we have learned. Okay, first we'll discuss what is strategic planning. What's the purpose of strategic planning? Then we discuss about the advantages or benefits of strategic planning. And then we discuss what are the shortcomings, so what are the pitfalls of strategic planning, right? We did discuss in detail. And we discussed the aspects of strategic planning, right? First, we give an introduction, what is strategic planning? And I told you, it's a compulsory plan, need to be prepared by the by the bank. Then we discuss in detail again the what are the major component of a strategic plan, and during that I'll explain to you fundamental three questions need to be answered. One is, where is my organization presently situated? Positions in terms of your competitor. Where my organization is going to be maybe next 3 years, and how to be there, how I'm going to be there. And fourth one, we'll discuss how do you know whether we are going in the correct direction or going for that direction. Okay, right. So then we discuss in detail. First, where are you want to be? Under that, we discuss what is mission statement. What are the factors we take into account when you develop a mission statement? Right? What are the advantages of mission statement? And we took some example from your banks. Then we move into the next statement, is called mission statement. Mission statement, what is mission statement? Purpose of your organization. What is mission statement? What are the important components you need to take into account or incorporate when you're developing your mission statement? Then we discuss a little bit of value statement. What do you mean by your value? Why it is important for an organization? Right? Tell others this is the way your business is carried out. Then we discuss the corporate goals. Right? And then we discuss how are we going to achieve our corporate goals? Through objectives. Right? And we discuss what are the what's the difference between mission and vision. These are components of corporate plans. Objectives. Why objectives are important? What are the functions of an objective? What are the characteristics of objectives? What are the key areas an organization can set objectives? We need to understand. Right? So then we have a clear picture. Where is my organization is going to be in next 3 years? In terms of market share, in terms of asset positions, and like that. Okay, now before we start this strategy planning, I explained to you the industry situation in Sri Lanka. I forgot to tell you the industry feature framework, number of banks, number of financial institutions, who are our competitors, and like that. What is the present situation as far as the asset base is concerned, deposit base, credit portfolio, like that. Brief introduction. And also financial institution. Because we need to manage financial institution. Then we discussed, having discussed in detail where are we going to be, then we discuss where are we now. For that we used a lot of analytical techniques, both internal and external, analyzing the organization. And internal factors, we discuss the corporate financial factors like strengths, weaknesses. And external factors, we discuss what are the business opportunities available. For that, we analyze Pestle analysis, how political, economic, socio-cultural, technological, right, factors may contributing to preparations of our strategic plan. What are the impact of all these important uh, points when you develop in your strategic plan? Okay, so then we use some competitive analytical techniques. We discuss the importance of stakeholder analysis. We discuss a little bit of Mendeley matrix, why stakeholders are important. And then we discuss why stakeholders are important. And then we discuss product life cycle. What are the steps involving in the product life cycle? What strategies you need to do? And we discuss the Boston Consultancy Group Analytical Technique, BCG, right? Stars, cows, and dogs. We discuss how your product portfolio fitting to these content, right, under internal analysis. And then we discuss the detailed Michael Porter's 5 forces analysis strategy, how this technique strategically important for an organization, how to analyze the competitor, bargaining power of customers, bargaining power of of suppliers, entry of new entrants, inter-rivalry, then what are the substitute products, all we discuss. How Michael Porter's 5 forces impact your strategic planning process. Right? All things we discuss. Now you know where are now. We don't want to go. Then we discuss where are you going to be. So then in the same day or same way we discuss, are we going in the correct directions? Have we achieved our targets? I told you what techniques you need to use. Then we discuss KPIs, key performance indicators. What are key performance indicators? Why key performance indicators are important? Usually we put it our performances in terms of quantitative format rather than qualitative, right? Profitability and things like that. Then for that we use balanced scorecard also. I'm just summarizing what we have learned, right? Okay. And then why evolution is difficult? What is the difference between formations and implementation? Which is more difficult? Strategic planning is concerned. How much of time we have spent for formation? We are good at form, but we are not good at implement. So then we discuss how the drawbacks of problems we are faced with implementation. Right? Then we went into discuss, having understood where are we now, where are you want to be. So then come to strategies. So I told you we are categorically mentioned business expansion strategies. There are some other strategies maybe not used. But what are the business expansion strategies? We discuss 5 types of strategies under that. What are the 5 types of strategies we discuss? We discuss intensive growth strategies. strategies, or what we call concentration strategies. We discussed three types: market penetration, market development, product development. We discussed each and every strategy, right? And then we move into the second type of strategy. It's called integration strategies. We identify two types of integration strategies. One is vertical and horizontal. Vertical further divided into two. That is, verticals comes under this first strategy is called the backward integration and forward integration. And what is those things? And we discuss horizontal integrations, how we differ from vertical integration, right? So then we went in to discuss diversification strategies. Under that we discuss related and unrelated, concentric and conglomerate. What is the difference between these strategies? Then we explain in internationalization. What are the type of internationalization strategies? From franchising, licensing, like that, all subsidiary things. Then we went into the next type of strategies called cooperation strategies. Under that we discuss strategic alliances, merging and acquisition, two types of merging and acquisition. There we discuss the importance important of opening the what you call merging and acquisition, motives of merging and acquisition, right? Strategic motive, financial motives, and managerial motives. Then what are the determinants? What factors you need to take into account? And even though why a lot of institutions fail, they are not successful in financial acquisitions and merging. And what is this difference between merging and acquisition? Then we discuss two types of acquisition: hostile and friendly. What are the strategies used by organizations when they are not liked for merging or acquisition? Hostile acquisition. And we look at it, some of the other alternatives: opening of branches, appointing of agents, subsidy, what is subsidy, and all. Then we discuss the most important thing: what factors, what due diligence study you need to carry out before you take over or merging. Remember, it's a board level decision. It's an important decision you need to take, right? And then we discuss about the outsourcing, why it is important, what are the things you can outsource, right, as a business strategy. Okay, so these are some of the expansion strategies we discussed with you. One of the questions will come on this definitely. Right. Now I'll explain to you strategy, acquisition, merging, planning, come up with alternatives and creative strategies, very costly. It needs to be approved by the board of directors. So now what we are going to discuss in T4 today. So these are the topics we are going to cover. where can businesses get finance for expansion? From where are you going to get the money? So you need money for business expansion. We discussed why we need to improve our businesses, why we need to expand our businesses. Then we have to discuss some methods of financing. So how one way can finance is equity capital, use your own funds, or you take debt capital. Which one is better? Right? And we could discuss about supermarket conglomerate approach, financial conglomerations. What is that? What are the benefits? Things like that. So we need to understand. So we'll take one by one. Now may look at it. The process of raising money. The process of raising money. Right? And this is the final sections of my point. And I already sent you a question paper. And if you can, what I'm going to do, maybe another next week and after that. So I'm going to discuss the answers for that question paper, which I gave you around 11 question paper, 11 questions, but all the questions appeared in your 2014 September onwards up to 2021, I mean up to 2020 March, October, September combined, which just took place in Jan this year. All the past papers, questions in there, which came from my area. And I also supported some my own questions. And if you can answer those questions, so you definitely got required 25 marks. Usually for my area and your exam is weightage around 25%, 23, 25. Maybe sometimes it will go more than that. Weightage of my area is around 25, 26%. Right? So you can easily get 25, 26% mark if you answer. Now what I'm requesting from you, try to answer that question paper so that you can use it at the exam. You don't want to study again, but leave space I will at some points. So if you're very thorough rather than waiting for the last minute, if you can answer, refer notes and answer it and check with my answer. If I get some new one, you add that, then you are comprehensive study material. Okay? Right. So started the process of raising money or financing for strategy. The growth is costly. Nobody cannot grow without money. Right? So you need to invest money to earn money. Now let's look at it. Where can businesses get finance for expansion? One simple method, as everybody is aware, is called equity investment. Equity investment. What is equity investment? Now, I think this year's one of the this year's questions in your exam, uh, when you're asking for comparison purposes, uh, one of the question is asked, what are the methods you use for improve your businesses? For that, you need money. First, equity investment. That means issuing shares. So I'm not going to explain to you what are the advantages of issuing shares, what is preferential shares and things like that. Okay, that is equity investment. And this is the investment of owners. If you want to get more people, so you are diluting your ownership. You issue more shares, no? So but still you want money, you can issue shares. So that is equity investment, or you can fund. Or the next simple method is called return earnings, holding back profit. So you may use holding back profit which the business makes in order to make more profits. So this is usually we call them as internal sources of finance. Right? So the two methods, very simple, very traditional approach. How you find money? First one, equity investment. This is the investment of owners. And the other one is your retained earnings. You're holding back profits. Those are traditional way of finding finance. And also then sometimes you may go for government grants. Now, maybe you have a lot of schemes available for business expansion. So different governments offering different loans. The last government offered what? For business expansion. They give Gamperli and all sort of, right? So what extends the bank suffered all these things. It's a government grant sometimes. A lot of refinance loans available if you're going for certain projects. Right? Certain credit lines, you can use it. Or bank loans. You can use bank loans for improve your businesses. Right? So these are some traditional methods. So we'll stop today from this point and we'll continue next week the balance part, and we'll start the question and answer. And maybe another 2 weeks time we are trying to cover this. Okay, so we'll stop today from this point, and please study, try to answer the question which I have already emailed to you, and then we very much components or competent of doing. Okay, right. Thank you very much.